In 1900, a woman from Switzerland sat in a room full of smart people and spoke perfect Martian. Not made-up nonsense. Real language with rules and meaning that no one on Earth had ever heard before. Her name was Helen Smith, and what happened next became psychology's most disturbing case. Not because of what she said, but because of what her words showed about something hidden inside all of us. Every smart person who studied her had to make the same impossible choice. This was either fake, crazy, or something that would break everything we thought we knew about how our brains work. Carl Jung made the most risky choice of his whole career. He decided to listen. And what he found out didn't just change how we think about minds. It told us exactly where we'd end up today. A world where we've turned our smartest thoughts into sickness, our holy voices into problems, and our way to get better into disease. But here's what will amaze you. While Jung was studying this weird woman, he realized he was actually studying himself. And by the end of this story, you'll realize he was studying you too. Because the question isn't what was wrong with Helen Smith. The question is, what can her Mars talk teach us about the voices inside ourselves that we've been taught to ignore? By the time we're done, you'll never look at your weird thoughts, strange dreams, or crazy ideas the same way again. Because what if the people we call mentally sick aren't broken at all? What if they're just brave enough to listen to wisdom the rest of us have learned to be scared of? Here's what Carl Jung discovered that will change everything you think about mental health. The gods have become diseases. Think about that for a moment. What our ancestors saw as voices from above, magical visions, and holy experiences, we now call mental illness. That woman speaking Martian? Long ago, she would have been a holy woman, someone who talked to the gods, a bridge between our world and theirs. Today, we'd give her pills to make her stop. And here's the scary truth Jung found. We're not just making individual people quiet. We're killing our soul as a society. Look around you. More people have anxiety than ever before. Almost 300 million people worldwide are depressed. More people are taking their own lives. We take more mood drugs than any generation in history, but we feel empty inside. Jung figured out something our world doesn't want to admit. What if the problems we're trying to fix are actually our mind's way of trying to find something meaningful again? Think about your own life. When did you last feel truly connected to something bigger than yourself? When did you last pay attention to your dreams, your gut feelings? Those weird moments that seem to mean something? We've traded gods for doctor visits. We've swapped stories and meaning for prescription bottles. And by doing this, we've created what Jung called a spiritual crisis. But we're calling it mental illness. Here's what's really happening. Those thoughts in your head that you've been told to ignore, those dreams that feel too real, that feeling that there's something more to life than what you can touch, your great-great-grandparents would have called that a message from above. We call it sickness. But what if they were right and we're wrong? Jung learned this by studying people like Helen Smith, people who were reaching something deep and real, not losing their minds. They were speaking in ways that went deeper than regular words, creating meaning that our logical world can't understand. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. How these made-up languages might actually be the most honest way our souls have ever talked. Because maybe, just maybe, learning to speak Martian isn't about running away from reality. Maybe it's about finding our way back home. So what was Helen Smith really doing when she spoke Martian? She wasn't just making up nonsense. She was using her mind's amazing ability to create something that felt totally new from old memories hidden deep inside. But here's where it gets incredible. When smart people studied her Martian language, they found something shocking. It had perfect rules. It made sense. It was built just like French, her real language, but twisted into something that felt like it came from outer space. Think about that. Her hidden mind took everything she knew about talking and rebuilt it into something that seemed to come from another planet. That's not crazy. That's pure creativity working. And here's what will blow your mind. This happens to you every single night. Your dreams don't talk in words. They talk in pictures and feelings. That weird dream where you're flying? That's not about flying. That scary dream where something's chasing you? That's not about running. Your mind is using a way of talking that goes deeper than words to tell you something important. Helen Smith was doing while awake what we all do while sleeping. She was letting her deeper mind talk in its own way. Some people call this speaking in tongues. It happens in churches when people are really focused, in moments when you feel everything at once. Your brain starts making sounds that seem like talking, but carry feelings that go way beyond what regular words can say. But here's what's really happening. You're not talking nonsense. You're talking the first language of the human heart. Little kids do this all the time. Watch a 3-year-old play alone. They'll have whole conversations with invisible friends, using made-up words that somehow make perfect sense to them. We call it pretend play, but what if it's actually the most honest talking they'll ever do? We teach this out of them. We tell them to use real words and talk right. We teach them that only our grown-up language matters. But what if we're teaching them to ignore their smartest thoughts? Jung found out that Helen's Martian wasn't random. It followed what he called universal patterns. The same symbols that show up in every place and time. The same pictures that appear in your dreams show up in old cave drawings, in church windows, in today's movies. Your hidden mind is always trying to talk to you using this ancient picture language. But we've forgotten how to listen. When you get a bad feeling about someone, that's your picture mind reading things you can't see with your eyes. When you suddenly know the answer to something without thinking it through, that's your deeper smarts talking in its first language. The question isn't whether you can use this deeper language. You can. The question is, are you paying attention? Because what Jung learned studying Helen Smith changed everything he thought he knew about how minds work. And it's about to change what you think you know about your own mind. But here's where the story takes a shocking turn. Jung wasn't just watching Helen Smith from far away. He was seeing himself in her. You see, Jung had his own voices, his own strange visions, his own moments when the world felt like it was spinning around him. And watching Helen speak Martian, he realized something scary. The line between being really smart and being crazy might be a lot thinner than anyone wanted to admit. This is what nobody tells you about big discoveries. They often come from people who are brave enough to go to places that scare everyone else. Jung made a choice that could have ruined his whole career. Instead of taking medicine to make his inner voices go away, he decided to listen to them. He started having real conversations with the weird people that showed up in his mind. Sounds nuts, right? That's exactly what his work friends thought. But here's what happened. Jung found out that these inner voices weren't trying to hurt him. They were trying to teach him. Each person that showed up, the wise old guy, the mystery woman, the dark side of himself, had something important to tell him about parts of himself he'd been pretending didn't exist. Think about this for a moment. We live in a world where we're taught to trust everything outside ourselves. Teachers, bosses, rules. But never to trust the smart thoughts that might be talking from inside us. Jung turned this completely upside down. He started writing down every talk he had with these inner people. He drew pictures of what he saw. He treated his own mental breakdown not as a sickness to fix, but as an adventure to respect. This became his famous Red Book, a diary of his own trip into what looked like craziness, but turned out to be the smartest time of his life. And here's the wild part. The same patterns he saw in his own mind were exactly the same patterns he'd seen in Helen Smith's Martian talking. The same pictures, the same mystery people, the same deep smarts trying to talk through feelings and images instead of regular words. Jung realized he'd been studying himself the whole time. But this brings up a question that will make you feel weird. What if the people we call mentally sick aren't broken at all? What if they're just better at feeling the deep stuff that we've all agreed to ignore? What if Helen Smith wasn't running away from the real world? She was finding a part of the real world that most of us have forgotten is there. And what if your own strange thoughts, your own weird dreams, your own moments of knowing things you can't explain, what if these aren't signs that something's wrong with you? What if they're signs that something's finally going right? Jung found out that the trip into what looks like craziness might actually be the trip back to being whole. But it needs something our world today has forgotten how to do. It needs the guts to listen to the voices we've been taught to be scared of. The question is, do you have those guts? So what does all this mean for you, right here, right now in 2025? Everything. Because Jung's discovery about Helen Smith didn't just change how we think about minds. It told us exactly where we'd end up today. We're living in the world he worried about, a place where we've turned our hearts into sickness and our smart thoughts into problems. But here's the amazing part. We're also living in the first time ever where Jung's answers are actually possible for everyone. Think about it. That Martian talking Helen did? Today we call it digital storytelling. People are making whole online worlds, using little picture symbols and funny videos and TikToks to say things that regular words can't say. They're talking in the language of pictures, just like she did. Your Instagram isn't just photos. It's your hidden mind trying to tell your story through images. That music list you made at 2 a.m. when you couldn't sleep? That's your deeper self trying to talk through songs about stuff it can't say with words. We're all talking Martian now. We just don't know it. And those inner voices Jung learned to trust? Today we have phone apps for that. Apps for quiet thinking, writing apps, dream tracking apps. We have fake reality experiences that let you have talks with different parts of yourself. We have computer helpers that help you figure out your hidden patterns. But here's what's crazy. While technology is giving us new ways to find our inner smarts, our mental health system is still stuck in the old way of thinking. We're still trying to use medicine to shut up the very voices that might be trying to help us. Jung figured out something that today's therapy is just now starting to get. You can't get better by cutting off parts of yourself. You get better by talking with them. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of feeling sad? Jung would ask, what is my sadness trying to tell me? Instead of, how do I stop these weird thoughts? He'd ask, what are these thoughts trying to show me about myself? This is happening right now in the newest therapy. Therapists are using art, music, storytelling, even video games to help people reach the picture language of their hidden mind. They're teaching people to treat their problems not as enemies to fight, but as messengers to listen to. And it's working. People who've been stuck feeling sad for years are getting better by drawing their feelings instead of just talking about them. People with worry are finding out that their fear is actually their gut feelings trying to keep them safe. People who felt crazy their whole lives are realizing they're just better at feeling the deep stuff that's really there. But here's the thing Jung knew that we're just remembering. This isn't something you need a therapist to do. This is something you can do right now, today, with nothing but a notebook and the guts to listen. Start paying attention to your dreams, not to figure them out, but to have talks with the people and situations that show up. Ask your dream people what they want to tell you. Notice the pictures that keep showing up in your life. That song that randomly gets stuck in your head. That animal you keep seeing. That person who reminds you of someone from way back. These aren't accidents. They're your hidden mind trying to get your attention. Trust your gut feelings, even when they don't make thinking sense. That weird feeling about a job meeting. That sudden want to call an old friend. That strange pull toward a book or movie. Your picture mind is reading things your thinking mind can't see. The question isn't whether you can reach this deeper smarts. Jung proved we all can. The question is whether you're brave enough to start listening. Because in a world that's forgotten how to hear its own heart, maybe the people who seem weirdest are actually showing us the way home. So let's go back to where we started. That woman talking Martian. Helen Smith sitting in a room full of smart people, letting weird words flow from her mouth like water from a hidden well. But now you see her differently, don't you? She wasn't broken. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't running away from the real world. She was showing us how to find our way back to it. Jung spent years studying people like her, and what he found out changed everything. The people we call weirdest are often the ones showing us how to heal the deepest. Today we know that what Helen was doing, making new languages from her hidden mind, is happening everywhere. In therapy rooms where people are learning to talk with their sadness instead of just taking pills to make it go away. In art rooms where hurt people are painting their way back to feeling whole. In online groups where people share their strangest dreams and find out they're not alone. We're living in Helen's world now, a world where talking in your own picture language isn't a sign of sickness, it's a sign of waking up. But here's what Jung knew that we're still learning. This isn't about becoming weird or different. It's about becoming complete. When you pay attention to that gut feeling about a person, you're using the same smart feelings Helen used. When you notice the pictures that keep showing up in your life, the numbers, the animals, the songs, you're reading the same deep language she spoke easily. When you trust that dream that felt too real to ignore, you're doing exactly what Jung learned to do with his own inner voices. The difference between Helen Smith and you isn't that she could reach something you can't reach. The difference is that she never learned to turn it off. And maybe that's not the problem we thought it was. Today's best therapy is finally catching up to what Jung knew 100 years ago. Healing happens when we stop fighting the strange parts of ourselves and start listening to them. Phone apps are teaching people to track their feelings and notice the pictures their hidden mind uses to talk. Fake reality therapy is letting people have talks with different parts of themselves. Even computers are being taught to spot the deep patterns that show up in how we talk and dream. We're building the technology to do what Helen Smith did naturally, to talk in the deeper language of the heart. But the most important tool you have isn't an app or a therapist or a trick. It's being willing to listen to the voice inside you that sounds different from everyone else's. That voice that has weird ideas, that sees connections others miss, that knows things it can't explain. That voice that you've been taught to quiet, to doubt, to make go away with medicine. What if that voice isn't the problem? What if that voice is the answer to problems you didn't even know you had? Jung's strangest case taught him something that could change your life. The talk you've been avoiding with the weirdest parts of yourself might be the most important talk you'll ever have. So here's my question for you. What would happen if you stopped trying to be normal and started listening to what makes you different? What would happen if you treated your strangest thoughts not as sickness, but as messages? What would happen if you learned to talk your own version of Martian? Because in a world that's lost its way, maybe the people brave enough to sound different are exactly the guides we need. Remember that woman from Switzerland who sat in a room full of smart people and spoke perfect Martian? The one whose case became psychology's most shocking discovery? Now you see her completely differently, don't you? She wasn't broken. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't running away from reality. She was showing us how to find our way back to it. The most disturbing case was actually the most important teacher. Her impossible Martian words weren't symptoms of sickness. They were signs of a deeper intelligence that we all carry, but have forgotten how to hear. Every weird thought you've ever had, every strange dream that felt too real, every gut feeling that didn't make sense but turned out to be right, every moment you felt different or crazy. What if those weren't problems to fix? What if they were your own version of speaking Martian? Your deeper mind trying to guide you using the oldest language humans know, the language of symbols, feelings, and pictures. Jung proved we all have access to this wisdom. The question isn't whether you can hear it. The question is whether you're brave enough to listen. So here's what I want you to think about. What voices inside you have you been taught to fear that might actually be trying to save you? If you can ask that question and really mean it, then this story has done what it was meant to do. You've stopped being afraid of the strangest parts of yourself and started getting curious about what they might teach you. If you're ready to explore more of these mind-changing discoveries, hit subscribe, because there are more impossible stories waiting, stories that will keep expanding how you see yourself and the world around you. After all, once you learn to speak Martian, you realize the universe has been trying to have a conversation with you all along.